We have a viewer question. What are the signs that you might be found guilty in a self-defense trial? I don't know where these come from, but let's not get into that situation. Before we talk about this with criminal defense attorney Tom Grieve, I will say we have a gun giveaway going on. It's happening right now. It is absolutely free, but it ends really soon. So please click the link in the description to find out which brand new gun you could win. Tom, there are some times when the questions just sort of catch me off guard. And what are the signs that you're going to be found guilty in a self-defense shooting trial? Maybe that you're guilty or something like that, or that if there is a question about your actions, and I'm sure there will always be, but this sort of thing really makes me want to say, don't get in that situation. Just remember to learn the laws and rules and follow them. But is there, when you're sitting at the defense attorney table and you look across and you're like, oh, this guy's going down, what's the dead giveaway?
They're self-representing.
Okay,
that's a good clue
you're
as to where this might be going.
Because the judge says you got to have a real attorney nearby. Or
right.
Yeah.
So having yourself for a client,
mm-hmm.
that's a sign that you may be getting convicted at the end of your trial.
Okay.
If you find that you have no facts and evidence to argue against whatever the state is putting forward,
mm-hmm.
you might be getting convicted at the end of your trial.
And I'm thinking at that point, you knew that at the beginning, that, or maybe you didn't. I don't know, that you know the rules. You use deadly force against an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm. And if you weren't even close to that, you're probably going to get convicted. So the idea of training and education and understanding what's happening, that's where it all needs to start.
Yeah, and I'd say that the closest things that I see in the justice system, not just in kind of the self-defense 2A space, but the justice system at large, of clients and individuals who seem to they really want to punch their ticket to a slow guilty plea, right?
Mm-hmm.
i.e. they're taking it to jury trial,
Yeah.
and we all know they're going to kind of lose, right? A slow guilty plea. People who have no, and I don't mean this in like a mental pathology, mental health sort of way, but just they're not really listening to reality. Mm-hmm. So example is somebody who just insists that, I know that, I hear that's what the law says, but that's wrong. Yeah. And it really should operate like this.
And here's why.
And here's why. And here's this neat page on the internet from 2004 that says that I'm right.
And I heard you say the word should.
Right.
This is not about what should happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you want to go to prison and go down as a martyr for whatever cause it is that you're believing in, and likely lose your appeal, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's your life at the end of the day. But if you want to try to win in court, it starts with where you are right now. It starts
mm-hmm. with
getting the proper education about what the laws are, training yourself to make sure that you're able to recognize different issues, that you're able to recognize pre-threat indicators. You avoid the fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the best fight.
That's where I was just going with this.
Right,
avoid.
Yeah. Avoid the fight. But, if we're trying to focus the conversation on what particular facts you're looking at, I mean, somebody who's impaired, like, that's going to be a red flag for prosecutors. Mm-hmm. Somebody who does a mag dump, fires every single round, shoots their pistol or their firearm empty, that's going to be a great thing. People who like to put all those decals and Punisher logos on their their t-shirts, their trucks, their cars, their whatever, that's just like catnip for prosecutors. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on.
And my, I guess, concern with this question, and I don't want to chastise the questioner, the viewer, too terribly on this, but we don't want to get to that point where we're thinking, how am I going to be found guilty? We want to get the training and we want to do the right things so that you don't end up getting close to that point, that you're doing what is right, what is legal, what is ethical, and you understand how this all works, because it can go terribly badly. It can go really poorly, and you can end up doing life in prison, and it doesn't matter what you think should have happened.
Right.
This is, we're talking about the law, and we're talking about a prosecutor who wants to win this case.
Right. Hiring a bad attorney. hiring a good attorney than not listening to their advice. I mean, this list is almost endless, but fundamentally it's not knowing the law. As a result of that, or maybe separate from that, you create bad facts for yourself. You make a bad decision with your attorney, you hire the wrong one, or you hire a good one, then you don't listen to them. I mean, in brief, that's the recipe for going to prison.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to harp back on the being a responsibly armed gun owner is the first step in not getting into that position where you're sitting there thinking, I wonder if I'm going to be guilty. And what are the warning signs that I'm going to be guilty? Well, one of the warning signs is that you're sitting in court, because there's the potential, once you finally get there, that you could be found guilty.
And there's obviously that potential. And again, I can hear the keyboards clacking away. Nobody's taken away from the presumption of innocence here or anything like that. But to Kevin's point, if a prosecutor's made the decision that they're going to bring criminal charges, you're obviously at a higher risk of conviction at that point than you were if you had just not gone down the dark alley in the first place.
Right, absolutely. Thanks again, Tom. Great insight. Not a question I expected to get, but I really appreciate your input on this one.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're pulled over by the police and you're carrying concealed. Do you need to do anything special in this scenario? Like tell the officer you have a gun. Click this video right next to me and I'll break down that scenario step by step on what you should do.